Hey guys, so today I'm going to be talking about The Way of Kings by Sanderson. So this is a big chonkle, and you know guys, I love those big chonkles. Did this book need to be as long as it was? I don't know. I feel like some of it could have been condensed a little bit, a little rambly, but overall, I did like this book a lot. Um, I was very confused like the entire time. It's like it's like I was taking a history lesson or something, or just a class that's really hard. This book is like reading a textbook, except there's no teachers. You just have to like go with the flow. This book has so much history and like the magic system so complex and stuff that a lot of it went right over my head, and I had trouble keeping track of, who's who, what's going on, why is this happening. So I think in stories like this, where you just have so much going on, I it like makes my brain hurt and it makes me feel like I'm stupid. Oh, either this book's way too complicated or I'm just stupid. Or both. Kind of wish I you know, made several videos about this instead of waiting till the end to make one video because so much has happened and it's hard to keep track of it all for one video. So I think what I'm gonna do for Worlds of Radiance is like split it up so like one video is on parts 1 and 2, the other one's on parts 3 and 4, stuff like that. Because this book is split into multiple parts. I'm surprised they were able to publish this thing considering how huge it is. I think it's longer than a Song of Ice and Fire book. Um, I don't know. Is it like it's probably the same length as a Dance with Dragons? Let me check. Okay, so it's a little shorter than A Dance with Dragons, um, but yeah, like stuff like this. I'm surprised how like they're able to print these books, because after a while, from the book just kind of like I don't know. I'm spiraling. So yeah, there's positives with this book. There's negatives. Like I said, the negatives are way too confusing and convoluted for my tiny little noodle brain. Um, the magic system is too much. I feel like it's a little too much. I don't know. I prefer kind of soft magic systems, though I did like the Mistborn Allomancy. This just feels like a lot. I think it's cool though, how you're like able to like it's weather based, based on like the storms and stuff. Though like I said, understanding this magic system for me is like taking a class, and maybe I just wasn't in the right headspace. I like how the prelude of the book kind of ties into the ending because like the guy who set off the course of events is actually still alive, so he shows up at the end, which is kind of crazy because it's like 4,000 years. He's like the doctor or something. So let me just get into these main characters. We have like four main characters. Um, five if you count Szeth, however the fuck you pronounce his name. I think Szeth is cool. He's not really a main character though. He just kind of pops in and out of the story. Um, Pretty mysterious. I kind of feel bad for him though, because he has like no autonomy. He kind of just has to do whatever was told of him. Um, very like he's very good at killing people, so he has some abilities. But most of the time, like when he's killing people, I feel bad for the people he kills, obviously, but like also I feel bad for him because, like I said, he has no autonomy as a person. And our four main characters are Kaladin, Shallan, Dalinar, and Adolin. So Kaladin is kind of the main focus of the book because we get to see like a bunch of his flashbacks, and man, I feel so bad for him. My man has been through a lot in this 1,000-page book, um, like sad backstories galore, which I think is a common trope among Sanderson's main characters. So first he's like, I want to be a soldier, and his dad's like, don't be a soldier, be a doctor, and he's like, fine. But then his brother gets drafted into Vietnam, and he's like, I'm gonna follow my brother into Vietnam, and then his brother dies, and then he tries to save people, but gets locked up in fantasy prison because the system is broken. It's like framed for a crime he didn't commit. So Kaladin's betrayed because he's like kind of noble and he's like, you know what, I don't want this power. But this like dude's like, oh, I'm gonna take it and you're gonna be a slave. So Kaladin basically gets like Ben-Hur over here. He started off as like this fierce nobleman, well not nobleman, fierce royal, and then just got sold off to slavery, like Ben-Hur. Except there's no like real life horse deaths. So kind of like Elantris, where like the prisoner tries to make the best of the situation. Kaladin slowly, you know, binds the other prisoners together to revolt. But kind of similar to Elantris, but a little bit different. Because Kaladin doesn't really have the initiative alone. He's very depressed and at his lowest, which I like. I like when characters don't have it all together. They're not badasses all the time. Kaladin is a pretty depressed dude, and I I like that because it makes like when he does succeed in the end of the novel, like it feels really owned. I like when characters get put through the ringer. I guess that's why I'm a big fan of A Song of Ice and Fire because a lot of those characters get put through the ringer. So when they actually do something successful, you're like, yeah, I was rooting for you. I like the spren he makes, Safren, whatever, Sil. She's kind of like, she reminds me of like Janet from The Good Place, how she kind of has this like, she doesn't really understand humans that well. But she's a really interesting character. I hope we find out more about her because they're kind of like setting up this mystery of like, how come you know some things but you don't know other things? How can you have these memories um, of some things but not other things? Like, I think the Spren have like some sort of amnesia every time they're reborn. So it's it's interesting. Kind of reminds me of like Rava, the Avatar spirit. I was just kind of picturing her in my head the whole time. So he kind of stops Kaladin from killing himself and, leads him to teaming up with my man Rock and Teft to, band together. So that's a nice little arc. The character starts off at his lowest point and kind of rises up while we see flashbacks of how he got to that point. I think the structure of that was really cool. So Kaladin was pretty interesting. I don't know who I'd want him to be played by in a movie, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing how his character develops in the next 9 books, because apparently there's going to be 9 of these fuckles, so it might take me a while. Moving on, we have Dalinar and Adolin. So these two are pretty cool. Though probably my least favorite perspectives of the book, not because I don't like them, it's just that like a lot of their story kind of drags for a while. Oh, I like Dalinar because he used to be a bad guy and now he's trying to like redeem himself and stuff. So that's a nice little arc. And he's like the king's hand, so you got like you get a lot of political shenanigans going on. So this whole time, like, he's like supposed to be this military strategist, but he's been like obsessed with this book called The Way of Kings, and he's like, oh my god, guys, like we're in grave danger, everything's going to shit, and the people around him, like Adolin, his son, is like, Dad, you're crazy, you're nuts, um, you know, you weird old man screaming at the clouds. But turns out, Dalinar's not crazy, and these visions and dreams are actually true. Which, I bet he feels pretty vindicated about that. Adolin is kind of a punk. I wasn't the biggest Adolin fan at the beginning. He seemed kind of like a slut to me. He was kind of disrespectful to Dalinar. So, he wasn't really my favorite, but I like how he comes around towards the end and shows like he really does care about his family and stuff, and he is an honorable guy. So, he doesn't really have much of an arc in this. It's just more of like peeling back the layers of an already like established character, which is kind of cool. Like instead of progressing emotionally, I guess he does because he does respect his dad more in the end and believes him. But we get to see that like he's not always this snobby, spoiled slut. And then there was Shalon, who I think was pretty cool. She is sent on this mission by her family to infiltrate this noble woman, who I think is like Dalinal's cousin or something. I don't know. There's too many characters. Yasna, um, and steal the this item for them. But it proves a lot more difficult because Yasna and her have a really nice relationship. So Yasna's like they get they kind of like get provoked by these hoodlums. So Yasna, she fucks him up with magic. She kills him. Salon's like, oh shit, I don't know what I was dealing with. Salon falls in love with this guy who betrays her. Yasna finds out that Shalon's been, you know, trying to steal the thing. There's like this soul castle could like bend the elements or some shit. Like I said, the magic is really confusing, so this book was kind of hard to follow. Um, but Yasna is like, man, Shalon, you're such a bitch, but I guess I forgive you. Which I think, she was a little easily forgiven. But I do like Yasna as a character, so I kind of like how ruthless she is. And also Shalon and her, like, scheming, like, she goes pretty far in trying to steal this soul castle. She, like, pretends to try to kill herself. Um, like, see, there's no depths this lady wouldn't go to. This whole storyline was a little bit more connected to Dalinal's and Kaladin's. It seems like when I'm reading whole chapters, it's like an entirely different book, which maybe it should have been an entirely different book because like it would have slimmed down this book a little bit. But I still enjoyed it. I think she's cool. Kind of devious. She is like one of those snarky characters who like every single scene she has to say something like sarcastic, and you're like, okay, we get it. You're snarky. But C also becomes magic later in the story, so, I think Yasmin is going to teach her how to use her magical powers in the next book. Um, so, yeah, those are our four main characters. I think it'd be easier to talk about that than, like, every single thing that happens in the book, because then we'd be here all day, and I don't want to be here all day. So, overall, very enjoyable book, very epic in scope and scale. I don't know if I like this as much as Mistborn, but I'm gonna keep on reading it because I got three books into Mistborn and I'm only one book into this, so maybe I'm a little bit biased. But I did really enjoy this. If I was very confused, I was so confused. I feel like I said, I need to take a college course to understand what the fuck is happening in this book at some points. This like techno gobbledygook, very exposition heavy, I'd say, but not in a way that really clears stuff up. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a moron. Anyway, I'm probably not going to read the Worlds of Radiance until the fall, so expect the Worlds of Radiance video sometime in late October. But I will be reading the Alloy of Law, so, my Alloy of Law video will be coming out in probably mid-August. So subscribe below for any of that. I'm also making videos on other book series like Harry Potter or My Brilliant Friend, as well as many other TV shows, so subscribe below for into that. Thank you guys so much for watching, and let me know what your thoughts are on The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. Please do not spoil the other four books in the series. That would make me very sad, and I would not like that. Wit keeps showing up in every single one of these books, and I'm a little confused, like, what his plan is, what he's doing, because he was in all these other books. Um, so, he's like this weird little gremlin creature that keeps popping up. He's like the Stan Lee of the Cosmere, except probably less random because I think he like has some sort of plot line going on. Anyway, until next time, peace.